Good morning and happy Sunday. Sunday is my favorite day of the week because it is the day of the week that I dedicate to writing. I have been writing a book now for probably almost 5 years. I haven't been writing the same book for 5 years, but about 5 years ago, I got the idea in my head that I wanted to try to write a novel, and it took me a while to come up with an idea for the novel and a story. And so this book, this particular book, I have been writing for probably about 2 years now. And I just finished the second draft. So we are getting really close to calling it a completed novel. I had readers go through the second draft and give me some notes. So I'm basically going to spend the day working on it and adding more and changing things up and not necessarily actively writing. Like, it probably won't be a heavy word count day, but it will be a lot of work, and I absolutely love spending time in the story anyway, so I'm totally fine with it, and I can't wait. Every Sunday for probably the past 4 years, I have met up with my friend Fatuma. We've kept it as an appointment in our books, and we try to make it every single week. Obviously, life gets in the way sometimes, but for the most part, that is the priority, first and foremost. And we used to meet up at coffee shops, and then we moved digitally. But the world is opening back up again, and we're both vaccinated, so I think today I'm going to go and write in her backyard in the afternoon. So I'm really looking forward to that because it is a beautiful day. You saw a little bit of my run this morning, but the sun was everything, and it's not too hot, and so I'm really looking forward to sitting under some trees and just spending some time in my world. So today I thought that I would take you along with me. I hope you're cozy. If not, get cozy. And let's get to it.
occurred to me on my walk home that I never actually talked about the research that I was doing. So I picked up these two books at a used bookstore, and they were only a total of $20 altogether for both of them, and they're amazing. I have done a lot of research on the First World War. That is loosely what my book is based on, and I've been interested in the First World War pretty much since I was in high school, but I got really particularly interested in university. In particular, I was really interested in medical science during World War I, but I've since branched out a little bit more. So often with research in books, you can get pretty intense about it, and you can spend all your time researching and zero time writing. So I actually waited until my second draft to do the bulk of my research. I wrote my first draft and really just focused on plot. I barely had any magic, and I barely had any kind of history influence. It's not a direct historical fiction book, it's magical fantasy with historical elements, so it's a completely different world than our world. So I got out the first draft and I just wrote the entire plot, and I really just wanted to get the story complete before I continued on and spent all my time researching. So with the second draft, I spent quite a bit of time researching. I read a few books and watched a bunch of movies and listened to a bunch of podcasts. I re-listened to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, which The Blueprint for Armageddon is a terrific series. I honestly can just get lost listening to that. I love it, and it really helped with a lot of the industrialization aspect of the First World War. So today what I did before I went to write is I took a look at this one in particular. This is The First World War in 100 Objects, the story of the Great War told through the objects that shaped it, by Gary Sheffield. And it's terrific. It, first of all, has a ton of visuals, which for me is really important basically as a writer, because I'm a very visual writer. I like to picture things in my mind before I put them on the page. And so with this, it's really great because you can really see a lot of the First World War come to life in this. And some of the things that I highlighted are things that I find particularly interesting, such as how they dealt with barbed wire in the First World War, how they basically went out to no man's land in the middle of the night and set up barbed wire, and that was people's jobs, and it was incredibly dangerous. And this book gets really crazy specific on how these things were done. I know a lot of the overarching history of World War I, but the specifics, as you can imagine, are really convoluted and complicated, and this book is really, really great for the visual aspect. And then I picked up this one, which is The Experience of World War I by J.M. Winter, and I'm so excited to go through this book. I was looking at it today in complete awe. It was only $5, which is amazing, again, at a used bookstore here in Toronto. And I'm just gonna take this off. And it is so incredibly detailed and specific. And I am so excited to go into this. They have basically every aspect of the First World War is covered in detail with visuals and maps, which is incredibly helpful. And even something as simple as I flagged this for myself, which is the structure of the German army. And as a non-military individual, a civilian, it can get really complicated trying to decipher basically the jargon of the groups, like what's the difference between a brigade and a regiment. And in even more particular, it can get complicated when you're dealing with other countries' military and history. So I flagged that just for funsies. It's probably really nerdy, but I flagged it for funsies. And yeah, I'm so excited to go through this. So I will probably spend a lot of time going through these two books. And it turned out to be a really great day in terms of writing. I wrote just over 1,000 words, which take it as you will. A lot of what I'm doing right now is an active writing. It's reading and fleshing out scenes even more, cutting things, putting things in different areas. It's very much like cutting and pasting the story and adding in certain elements, but it was so awesome. It was so wonderful to see Fatuma. We always have like a mixed bag of like half working, half catching up, and it's so great. I absolutely adore her, and I will put links to her stuff down below because she is a fantastic writer and honestly one to watch, and everything she writes is like pure gold. And she's currently writing a musical, which is super, super awesome. So check out her stuff below. But right now I am starving. I've had way too much coffee today, and I think tonight we're gonna have veggie burgers, and then I'll probably curl up and either read or watch a movie or something and just completely chill, because the most important thing about Sunday is relaxing. I absolutely love writing, and I think it is the best way to spend my Sunday because it completely takes me out of the stress of life and the fact that I have to go back to work tomorrow, and just puts me to work on a lovely story. It allows me to get creative, which is really, really important. One thing that I forgot to mention is I'm reading War and Peace in the morning, which is absolutely wonderful and I'm loving it. But it's not really a book that I want to fall asleep to, because it's a book that I really want to focus and really want to pay attention to and really study. And so I find that reading it at night is a little bit heavy, especially after such a long day. So I'm currently reading at night The Giver of Stars. I read at the beginning of this year Where the Crawdads Sing, and I absolutely loved it. It was 5 out of 5, an absolute terrific read. And so I did what I feel like every bookish person does, is I immediately started Googling books that were similar to it. Books with heavy nature theme, all that jazz, and I picked up this one, and so far I'm really liking it. I'm only on chapter 3. I haven't really made it that far, so that is what I'm going to be reading tonight while I fall asleep. Oh my god!